Hi everyone, this is Tracy Newman. I'm from the Navigators Tarot. I'm just jumping on here quickly to give you some tips for anybody that actually needs to do some self-clearing or self-healing work, especially at this time because there's so much going on. A lot of people are in fight or flight mode, and a lot of us and if you have any sort of trauma at all, which most of us have had at some point in our lives, and a lot of us hold those trauma bonds in each and every single one of our cells. And this particular mode of healing is something that I came across and while I was going through a massive Kundalini awakening, because Kundalini, when it rises, it has no care for your sensitivities. In fact, it actually makes you a lot more sensitive to whatever's going on, because it is doing whatever it can to clear trauma from your body. And these can be past life traumas, they can be this life, in this life, whatever, you know, it's like whatever's held in your cells. And sometimes too, it can be ancestral trauma as well. Anyway, this is just, I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, for about a year, and I was actually going to do it in a proper format, you know, and give it to my daughter who's so wonderful at, you know, editing things. But I just thought, look, I'm just going to jump on and do it because a lot of people, I've come across quite a few people just recently who are really needing to have some tools in their toolbox so that they can stop themselves mid-flight and actually do the work that's needed to release a lot of those fight or flight moments that can turn into something out of control and sometimes potentially quite dangerous. Okay, so I remember many years ago when I was right in the middle of this awakening process, and I was, for about 4 years, I think I ended up just being extremely anxious all of the time. I would have 8 to 9 panic attacks a day. I would just work just to try and, you know, I would go to work and I would just try to work my way through it. And then actually work was the only thing that kept me on the straight and narrow. It actually took my mind off everything other than the literal anxiety I was feeling 24 hours of the day. So I guess we all have coping mechanisms. Mine was work. A lot of people can turn to addiction. Mine was work. Anyway, I remember, you know, having literally uncontrollable urges to run out in front of trucks when I was in that panic mode. And it literally would take over my whole body, and I would literally, I don't know what used to stop me, but I would then just keep moving and just recognize that it was something that was happening energetically or, you know, in my thoughts. And although it was coupled with the fact that I had those feelings of anxiety, so it was very much a bodily occurrence that was happening to me. And it was like not just my physical body, it was my mental body, my emotional body. Everything, it seemed, was under attack. But that's how I saw it anyway. But I remember one day coming home from work, and I walked into the driveway and I had this overwhelming feeling once again of running out in front of a truck. And I actually stopped myself and I went, hang on a minute, wait, what is going on here? And then I just stopped myself. And then I looked at the house and I went, I don't want to go into the house. I thought, and I just have a thought, and I said, why? And I questioned myself, why don't you want to walk into the house? And I actually got, I do not want to go in there because I don't want to look after my children. Because for me, it was a huge burden. With everything else that was going on in my life, looking after my children was such a huge burden that I really didn't want to look at and I didn't want to have to do. So anyway, I thought, okay, so walk into the house. So I walked into the house. And I then, for some reason, went and got pen and paper. I sat down on the couch and I wrote down, why do I feel this way? And you know what happened? I got an answer in my head. So I wrote the answer down, and then I had another question, and I wrote that down, and then I had another answer, and I wrote that down. And what happened was, with the question and answer process, because this was literally automatic writing, because what I was actually listening to was my soul and my body and my thoughts. Everything about me was saying, we're trying to help you, and we're going to, and you just have to let us be in control. And so I gave way, my whole body gave way to writing everything. I just questioned, answer, question, answer, and it just autonomically, in some sort of autonomic way, started to come out onto the paper. Anyway, after about 5 minutes of this, and I just went through it, and I went all the way down to the very, very core, and I actually realized what the core was. And when I got to the core, I began to cry, and I was literally on the couch just crying and sobbing, and it was just like sobbing that came from my whole entire body. And I cried and I cried and I cried until I was literally spent. But I'll tell you what the core was, and I have since found out that it is the core of every single problem that we have. And the core was that I did not feel worthy enough to be a mother to my children. Even now it makes me a little bit teary. So that was the core issue of what was going on with me in that instant where I didn't want to go in to the house. And in that instant, I knew that, I had to do something. And then that's when I did the question answer thing and actually got to the very, very core of what was going on. And the core was that I did not feel worthy enough to be a mother to my children. And then what happened then after that? Every time I had one of those episodes where I went into total panic mode, and that was pretty constant in those days, and I had uncontrollable urges to run out in front of the trucks. I had a pen and paper, and I would sit and I would write, why do I feel this way? The answer would come. The next question would come, and the next answer would come. The next question and the next answer, and it would go down the line until I got to the very, very core of what the issue was. And it is always, always a feeling of not being worthy in that instant for whatever reason. And these are the core issues of what is driving a lot of the anxiety that we have right now. It is literally because we don't feel worthy enough to be, pretty much. And then when you do end up, you actually do get to the core of these things and release, and it is literally like an autonomic response of release that you can't control, and it is just tears. And it is then, only then, that you can actually then, when you've released and you have cleared everything and you feel totally different, because you do, you actually feel totally different because all that anxiety just leaves your body. It is then that I actually said to myself, and I wrote it down, I will never feel this way again. And I never did. That's the thing with affirmations. You can say all the affirmations you want, but if you have not cleared the core issue of what is actually going on in your life, your affirmations are worthless. They are just band-aids. Your addictions are band-aids. My work was a band-aid. All of that was just a band-aid. So it was from then on that I began to literally heal my life. That's when I began to clear and heal everything. If anything happens to me now, I sit, I write, I question. I am the observer of my own life now. And if anything that I perceive is negative in my life, then I look at that and I question it. The question and answer thing is actually really, really helpful in so many areas of your life. It's the way to get to the core essence of who you are. It is a way to tap into source. and also to Prime Creator, who is, of course, that which lies within, that energy, that powerhouse that lies within each and every single one of ourselves. And that is where I go back to, always. Anyway, I hope this little video helps. You know, I've been to many healers in the past, and even acknowledging that you need help, that you do need help and that you need healing in some way is also too very helpful. And even though you can do a lot of the work yourself, I will still access healers that I trust if there is any sort of burning sort of issue that I cannot get past. Okay, so yes, I hope this video helps, and yeah, I'll see you on. Okay, bye for now.